What is private equity? Private equity, it means it's a pool of investment created by the investment managers or general partners, where they raise the capital from the limited partners. Limited partners, it means it's nothing but it's investors like pension funds, insurance companies, or the highly net worth individual investors, where they invest into the such a funds like private equity funds, right? So the private equity funds main objective is to target the private limited companies, or I would say like public limited companies which are under a lot of pressure or tension or debt. So private equity funds target to such companies, they take a risk, invest into such companies, and that's how they multiply their assets. If I talk about India, so private equity funds are registered under the Alternative Investment Act. So it means all private equity funds which are listed under the Alternative Investment Act 2015. So where Indian government enacted that new act. So we don't have any regulatory body which monitor the each and everything for private equity funds, but yeah, Finance Minister of India, they monitor it. And now if I talk about the minimum investment level for a private equity fund is, which is 1 CR. Same limit. If you ask me what is the highest or highest limit, there is no bar, but if I talk about minimum investment amount for a private equity fund is $1 million, that is in US and the UK or other countries, I would say. Okay, so now question is like, why that limit is necessary, and what if I don't have, then can I invest? No, if you don't have, then you cannot. The reason is private equity funds, as I said, they invest private limited companies and even risky companies or debt stress companies and all. And if they invest into such a company, so it means it becomes highly risky investment. And that's what, if you target the risky companies and all, just because of risk, the regulators and all, they have set up a bar where that retail investors, like us, where we used to prefer the mutual funds and all, so that we can avoid that. We don't need to invest into it. You can invest in mutual funds and make money, or if you can understand the capital markets and all, you can directly invest in capital market and make money. But if you have more than 1 CR, then you can target the private equity funds, where highly qualified fund managers, they'll manage your investment. So this is how private equity fund works in this corporate. See, private equity funds, it's not a new one, it's an old concept which started in 19th century. But now why this is growing in this world? Because see, even if I talk about corporate and all, most of the companies, they are offering private equity fund accounting jobs. Apart from that, if I talk about Indian market, if you see the India's infrastructure development, right? Then even if I talk about technology, insurance, or healthcare sector, manufacturing sector, and many more, each and every sector is looking for funding. And if I talk about private equity firms, okay, so they invest in a huge amount. They target companies from a different sector and they invest in a huge amount, and that's what, where private equity funds are now growing. If you ask me the size of private equity market, so I'll tell you the size of the private equity market is more than $800 billion. So think about it, the size of market and all. And that's what it is. It is growing rapidly. And if you ask me, like And if you ask me, like, comparison between mutual fund, hedge fund, and private equity, see, people like us, as I said, even you can start investing in mutual fund with minimum investment of rupees 500, but in private equity you cannot, because private equity funds, they invest in unlisted companies or privately held companies by family houses, or I would say private members. But if I talk about public limited companies where mutual funds are allowed to invest, that's the difference. Just because of risk and big capital appetite, you cannot directly invest in private equity funds. Private equity funds are highly risky one. So that's all I wanted to say about private equity and all. If you want more content like this, I would say subscribe and share this content with others. I'll record more and more audio so that you can refer and enjoy this podcast, or such as stories and all. Now, if you ask me, like, who is the biggest player in private equity market, let me tell you something. I'm sure that you will have heard about Blackstone. Blackstone Group is one of the largest, I would say, group where they invest huge amount of money in this space. And apart from that, there are many more companies, or I would say limited liability partnership firms like Brookfield, Apollo, Ben Capital, Advent, Hill House, the Carlyle Group, KKR, TPG. There are many more companies or many more firms where there is capital from the private groups or institutions and invest into such sectors and all. And if you ask me just a definition of private equity, what is private equity according to me? See, the private equity is money invested directly into a private company. Private equity funds pool money from many investors, whether people or institutions, I would say, for that matter, and then buy ownership stake in a number of private companies in the hopes of later selling those ownership stakes for a profit. It's generally a higher risk, higher return investment option. So it's an official definition of private equity fund, if you ask me. But as I said, private equity funds, those are risky ones, and they invest heavily into the risky businesses. They take a risk and they generate more and more money. Why this private equity is growing, or maybe we have questions like how you can target the private equity funds to get the jobs, how they are paying at the moment and all. If you have these questions, let me just brief about it. Go and check it on recruitment platforms everywhere, that you would see the openings for private equity funds. So it means it is a growing field. And I'm sure in India also in upcoming time you will see big scope for private equity funds, where fund admins like Apex, Citco, Street Corporation, Line Data, and many more, they'll offer the handsome salaries to the fund accountants, especially private equity accountants or real estate private equity accountants and all, because both are the promising and highly growing sectors at the moment, and they're paying very well. So you should target to such companies only, or who are paying well. I hope you got my point. If the sector is offering good growth, or a sector is showing that potential, then we should target to that sector only. And about the long-term prospectus, if you ask this question, then I would say at least for next 10 to 15 years you don't need to worry about the sector and all, because by 2023 you might see the big progress or growth or maybe multifold return in this particular sector. If you compare the public equity and private equity, always you would see there is a positive development in private equity. If you see, if the standard of living of people, if let's say assume it, if it is increasing, so it means that will affect on the private equity business as well, and it will grow automatically. That's how private equity businesses are growing in India. And as I said, there are companies like Street, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, then Apex, Citco, and then there are many more, like even Wipro, Blackstone and all, that are offering jobs for private equity accounting, private equity reporting, valuations, then reconciliations, trade processing, and many more. The qualification required is MBA or maybe CA entrance and all. Why this qualification is required, I'll tell you, because basics of accounting and finance knowledge is must before applying to such a jobs, because you would see lot of the content, or I would say topics, which would be new for you and those haven't been covered in your normal academics. And if you want more information about private equity accounting and all, so you can check my paid course as well as free course on YouTube already that I have uploaded session, which you can refer and upskill your knowledge. But yeah, so this is how you can find a more potential or promising sector. If you are from finance background, target it and invest your time to get upskill and then grab that opportunity. I have trained more than 2,000 plus working professionals on different profiles. So now I have started this training program for fund accounting. If you are interested, you can enroll. I'll provide a link and description. You can refer this link and just attend my sessions, and definitely then you can get a job into this private equity space also. Yeah, so I'm done with this small podcast. If you like this podcast, please do subscribe and share this with others as well. Let them also learn it or enjoy this podcast and all. I share this with others. Thank you for listening. I'll discuss about mutual fund and hedge fund as well in my next coming episode. Meanwhile, thank you for your time.